Hello everyone. Happy Wednesday. How's it going? God, it seems like only yesterday we were last talking. That's because it was. It wasn't. It was Monday. How are we? How are we? Sylvester of Terror, thank you very much for becoming a member before the stream even began. Legendary. Very cool. Very cool of you. Thank you very much. Happy Wednesday, Warhipster. Happy Wednesday to you too, Jason. How are you? Dangerous, hello. Tattooed Zoologist, hello. Yamail Angmar, hello. Yamil Gonzalez, hello. We're live. We're here. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, 54 away. 54 subscribers away. 54. Just 54. Who knows? It may happen tonight. I don't think it will. But tomorrow, possibly. I posted in the Discord, would like some feedback if you have a chance. Well, why don't we do that now? Let's have a look. Where have you posted it? Is it in Show Off Your Stuff? Let's have a little look. First attempt of a Warhipster painting recipe, not finished yet, but love some feedback. Ah, yes. Lord Veritant. Yes. 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 No, I like it, bud. Your blue is nice and smooth. It's good to see that. It's looking good. It's looking good. The thing with a lot of my recipes, they sometimes generally tend to like feel messy until the point of where suddenly they then just sort of click. It's around about like the majority highlight. So for example, on like Custodes, for example, they feel messy and dull, but then you put the gold, you do the relayer of the Retributor armor, and you do the highlight of the Stormhost Silver and Retributor armor, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, no, this model's popping. But no, your blue on that cloak is nice and smooth. It looks great. I like it. I like it. Can't wait to see some more. Can't wait to see some more. Let's all unsub now. If you do, I won't let you back in. You'll be banned. Banned for life. That's it. Not allowed to watch any more of my videos ever. What are we predicting? Well, we're going to be predicting things tonight together. Hot takes, wild speculation. That's all we're going to be going for. This is a talking head stream, is what it is. We're going to be chatting, you know. There's lots and lots of wild speculation, I hope, that goes on tonight, and we'll have some fun doing it. Like I've got some hot takes. I've got some hot takes that I think will happen in the next couple of months. I'm sure you guys have got some hot takes that will come that might come true as well. We never know. Some of them might come true. They might not be that hot. So yeah, tonight we're looking to the future, because as we are very, very close to approaching the goal that I set for this channel long time ago now. As we are on the eve of that momentous occasion, I hope. I've been doing a lot of sort of retrospective thinking. There's a lot of things that have happened, obviously. I mean, we're into our, I think, sixth year, something like that. Having been when did I start this full time? We moved in here 2020 November. So 2020. This will be my 5th full time year as the Warhipster. And oh my goodness me, Jason, what are you doing, brother? Jason, my God, 50 gifted Warhipster memberships. Outrageous generosity right there. Thank you so much. Jason, you're an absolute bloody legend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, that's it. We've smashed our goal. Well, Jason has smashed our goal. That's ridiculous. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really, really appreciate that. Incredible scenes. Incredible, incredible. Thank you. Your generosity knows no bounds. Honestly, ridiculous. Hungry Bert has 5 gifted Warhipster memberships. Thank you very much, Hungry Bert. Would you look at that? Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you. I don't know what to say now. I had a... Where was I? What was I talking about? What were we doing? It's gone. It's gone. Hungry Bert, thank you very much for being a member for 25 months. And Illy, thank you very much for being a member for 21 months as well. Thank you very much. What are we doing? What are we doing? Predictions. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. 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 That's what we were doing. I was talking about, yeah. So, yeah. Tomorrow could be the time when we hit 100,000 subscribers on the channel, and that has been like the hallowed destination, the goal, the target, the place we've been wanting to get to for a very, very, very long time. For like I said, the entire time that I've been doing this full time as a job, I wanted to get there and get the plaque and all that kind of thing, and do that. And I've been thinking a lot about like the last 5 years, the last couple of days, and just like how much of a like ridiculous privilege that it is to be able to be sat here and have this conversation with you guys, and talk about this sort of thing, and you know, just to do Warhammer stuff all day. It's a ridiculous thing, but it's a wonderful thing. And obviously, you know, it is a very privileged position that I find myself in. But I have been very retrospective about this journey, about the long nights, the 1,000+ videos, and all that. So, yeah, it's been quite the journey, as it were. Sorry, math not mathing. 35, huh? What do you mean? Rockets fly high. Thank you very much for becoming a member. That's very kind of you. So yeah, it's so rather than spend more time thinking about the past, because I'm gonna do a whole video about it tonight. We're gonna talk about the future, what's coming for Warhammer, predictions of things that are on the way, and we've seen a couple of really interesting things so far. So what do we know that's left to come out? And this is not just 40k, this is everything, right? What has been previewed so far? Well, we know that there's the Legio Custodes. We know they're on the way. The Ossiarch Bone Reapers go up on pre-order this weekend, and we know that. And then we also know that there's Grand Cathay. There's another thing of Grand Cathay on the way. There's the Grand Bastion, I think it's called, with the peasant militia. That's what they're called. We've seen not Obliterators, the other one, Mutilators. We've seen, I can't remember his name, is it Kravek Vaughn or something like that? the Iron Warriors guy. There's the twin lances, the Tau battle suits. There's the Tyranid Warrior with Tyranid Prime, I should say. There's the half-naked Chthonian Berserker as well for the Leagues of Votan. So we know that's all on the way. And we've also seen the Sylvaneth, right? And as of this week, Monday, we saw that Skitarii. We have some Skitarii that are coming on the way as well. And a new Archmagos model, which is quite exciting. It was quite exciting moment. That's effectively another sort of, not Primarch, but another Primarch level faction leader for the AdMech. I feel like that's bigger than we give it credit for at the moment. I think that's quite compelling. Excuse me. Nevi, thank you very much for becoming a member. That is incredibly kind of you. Rockets fly high. Glad to be here. Wanted your painting tutorials are the reason I got into Contrast as much as I am now into it. No, that's perfect. I'm glad. That's what we do. That's what we do. So yeah. So have I missed anything? Is there anything that they've previewed? Oh, Blood Bowl, the High Elf Blood Bowl team as well. But I think that's everything that we know is coming. I think. So bearing in mind all of that, which means that those releases are locked. What else do we think's coming down the pipeline? Now, I'm going to start with my first hot take. I don't think it's a hot take. I think. Oh, the new Defiler. Thank you very much. Yes, the new Defiler as well. That was also previewed. So, yeah. So, I think there's another Imperial release for Cadian Gate. I think there's one of those coming. And I think it's going to be some Astra Militarum. And I saw Krieg Grenadiers being in there as an option. It's possible. But I suspect it's going to be more Acadian-esque thing. Acadian-aligned thing will be on the way. Now, one could argue that maybe that might mean that Ursaka E. Creed might be making a return. I don't think he is. But I could see maybe Yarrick reappearing. And I know he's not Cadian related, but I could see Yarrick. I could see a new Yarrick model returning very soon. I could see it happening. Because we know, well, he may be dead, he may not be. We don't know. We don't know. I haven't painted in months, but wanted to return and pass on best wishes as you near 100,000. Oh, yes. Thank you very much. We're so very close. I'd like new Warcry, please. I would also like new Warcry. I think Space Badgers, says Captain Manrings. Hello, sir. Hello, everyone. I'm here. Everyone can breathe easier now. It's true. Now Travis is here. We can all relax. Saka E. Creed holding a twig, hiding a Baneblade. Model of the year. I agree. Spot on. 55 subs away from 100k. Like and sub, ye fine people. I agree. If you know anybody who's interested in contrast painting or just interested in making a little boy's dreams come true, tell them to come and hit the subscribe button to the youtube.com/Warhipster. A mere 55 people away. Just 55 people. So, yeah, what do we think? Well, I'm gonna go with my first, and I mentioned this in the Discord. I think we're due a Stormcast Eternals release. That's what I think. Yep. I think we're due a Stormcast Eternals release, and I could see it happening in October, maybe November. You know, that's what I think. Do you know why? Do you know why I think that? I have some evidence-based theories as to why I think it's going to happen. Okay. So, we are going to see all of the battle tomes released in the next 6 months, is my prediction. Because 11th edition is on the way, and that will be this summer. And I think once that happens, you have to have, I think you have to have guaranteed hits, where you sell a lot of models for Age of Sigmar. So dropping something like the Cities of Sigmar individual character, or whatever it is that the Cities of Sigmar are going to be getting in just after the 11th edition, it's not gonna cut it, right? Now bear in mind, next year is 5th edition Age of Sigmar. I know it's early. I know it's early to be talking about this. It's February of 2026, but 2027 is 5th edition Age of Sigmar. Okay. Now here's my thing. Right. I don't think that the Stormcast Eternals release was that good. I think what they gave us was great, but I don't think it was that good. We have a whole new chamber of Ruination Chamber models, and I love everything that's in there. But the Ruination Chamber currently consists of 2 units and like 6 characters, which is insane. So, I think because the Space Marines launch in 10th edition wasn't very good either, and I think a lot of people will agree with me on that by now, I hope. Because if you look back over the edition, Space Marines have gotten a lot, but at the beginning, they didn't get very much at all. When they got their individual multi-part plastic kits, they got intercessors with jump packs. That was it. And the captain. They did get the multi-part versions of the Terminators and the Stern Guard, but they were in the core box, so they don't count, kind of. So this is my thing. Is I think that the Stormcast released for AOS 4 is the same as the Space Marines release for 40k 10. And I think there's more Ruination Chamber hiding in the heavens right now. So I think we're going to see that at the same, roughly the similar time as to when the Assault Terminators dropped last year. And I think it's going to be Paladins. I think it's going to be Ruination Chamber Paladins. Some heavy, heavy boys. So that's mine. That's one. That's one of mine. Now you guys give me one. Are we getting any freebooters with all these pirates about the place? The old pirate orcs were great. It would have made sense for them to come at the same time, but I don't think they wanted to do 3 big battalion boxes all at the same time with too many new models. See what I mean? What do you think will be the last big 40k release for 10th? Oh, good lord. Was the Lion the last one for 9th? Was he? I didn't think he was. I can't remember the order of the Arcs of Omen books now. Wasn't Vashtor? No, Vashtor wasn't the last one. Very technically, the last thing that came out in 40k 9 was t-shirt launchers and the Brutalis Dreadnought, if my memory serves, because they came out a little bit after in Strike Force Augustus. I can literally go to my YouTube channel and have a look. Let's do that. Oh no, we're being retrospective again. Let's go back. Let's have a look. Because let's face it, it will have been something that I would have done. We just need to go back in time to when there was Leviathan, and then we'll see. There's the Dork Angels. Right, we're here. So, it was... you are right. 15th of April, the Lion, Commander Dante, and... well, I did Gilliman as well. Actually, if you want to be really technical about it, it was the Ashes of Faith Inquisitorial Agents Kill Team was the last thing came out in 9th edition. So actually, they were the final thing. Don't you really, really like paladins? I love paladins. I want more paladins. I want paladins all over the place. That's what I want. Now look, Age of Sigmar wise, okay. I think I said this the other day. I'll get through Age of Sigmar first, and then we'll talk about 40k. Okay. Age of Sigmar, we know roughly what is left to go. Okay. So Cities of Sigmar, Daughters of Cain, Fire Slayers, and Seraphon, and Sylvaneth. So Order have got 5 factions left to go. They've got 5 factions left to go. Now we've seen what the Sylvaneth one is, so we know that's happening sooner rather than later. Yeah? So there's 4 of those left to go. Death, we are done. As of this Saturday. Because Soulblight... No, not Soulblight. The other one. Ossiarch Bone Reaper's gone pre-order this weekend. So that's it. Death is done. In Destruction Land, we are awaiting Ogre Moor Tribes and Sons of Bahamut. So we're up to 6 books. And Ogre Moor Tribes were on that graphic that they released a few months ago of things that had lots of exciting things coming down the pipeline. And one of the things that was also on that graphic was Maggotkin of Nurgle, and Maggotkin of Nurgle got quite a large release. I think the other thing was Ossiarch Bone Reapers, and they've got quite a large release. And the other one that was on there was Fire Slayers. So they, to me, are the 2 that are going to be getting a significant chunk of things. Chaos-wise, Head Knights of Slaanesh. And that's it. So there's 7. 7 battle tomes. So there's a potential for a lot of really cool stuff. Now, if I had to guess, like I said, the 2 biggest releases that are coming are going to be Ogre Moor Tribes and Fire Slayer Flesh. Fire Slayer Flesh? Just Fire Slayers. I think those are the 2 that are going to that are going to come, right? I think that's on the way. Hi Josh, I've nearly finished painting all of the Darkwater box set, and it's all thanks to your tutorials. So that's exciting, not a Primarch. Are you looking forward to playing it? Fire Slayer Flesh 2. That would be nice. Fire Slayers, more foot heroes needed. I think just dwarves with clothes is what people want to see. What about Hellsmith still missing some manifestations? Yeah, so that's the interesting thing is I think so based on, again, so I'm gonna use 40k as a template here. What we're seeing now in 40k is we're seeing a wrap up of the factions that I feel like could have been done way back, right? So like when Chaos Space Marines, when their book came out, they got, I wanted to say it was the Jump Lord and the Foot Lord. That was it, wasn't it? That was the only 2 things they got. Just 2 Lord characters. But as it has turned out later on, they were planning to do Huron, Raiders, Reeve Captain, Mutilators, Defiler, Iron Warriors man, right? So actually, the CSM release is now looking pretty special, right? On a whole, okay. So my guess is that Hellsmiths, yes, they are missing their manifestations, and they are also missing their terrain piece. And what this edition has been about so far with AOS has been installing the manifestations and stuff in. So like for example, Disciples of Genius just got the Argent Shards. The Auric Warclans, they got the Boss Rock Tower and they got their manifestations, and so on and so forth. So that's been what's going on. Hellsmiths are missing it. So if I was a gambling man, I would suggest that there's a little bit more Hellsmiths of Hashut stuff that's on the way. Couple more, maybe 1 or 2 units, and maybe an extra character that is also going to come alongside their manifestations and their terrain piece, and it'll drop during that narrative event that will lead us into AOS 5 next year. Is what I would guess. That's my prediction. In that realm. Not a Primarch, thank you very much for becoming a member. You absolute legend. I feel like because we're on 8-9, I should, and you guys are being incredibly generous tonight, I'm gonna do that. Thank you very much, Not a Primarch. That's very kind. So yeah, Age of Sigmar. I personally don't think Cities of Sigmar, Daughters of Cain, and Seraphon are going to get a lot of things. I think for Sons of Bahamut, I think they've previewed something that's coming for Sons of Bahamut, and I think it was on the rumor engine. It was mentioned earlier. I think Adam mentioned it earlier. Something holding a rock. It looks like a giant's hand. So I think there is another giant on the way for Sons of Bahamut, which is, again, is kind of in keeping with what you would kind of expect from them, is that they're not going to get a huge amount of models. They're going to get 1, maybe 2 at a time, which will feel like a big release in the context of that book, but actually really isn't in the context of like general sort of Warhammer, Age of Sigmar. So I think Sons of Bahamut, and I think Seraphon, and I think Cities of Sigmar, and I think unfortunately Daughters of Cain, they are all ones that are only going to be getting 1 or 2 things. I think Fyreslayers and I think Ogre Moor tribes are destined to have much more stuff come on the way soon. Yamail Akbar with 5 gifted Warhipster membership. Let's push it a bit closer. That's very kind of you. Thank you. You guys are spoiling me tonight. That's where I'm at, I think, with Age of Sigmar. What are your thoughts? And we'll talk about the old world next, because there's a lot of people talking about old world in there, and I've got some thoughts on old world. Because we know the next old world release is, well, at least the one we know about is I want to say it's called Defenders of the Great Bastion by Grand for Grand Cathay. We know that that's coming, and we also know roughly where we are in the story, right? And this, I would say that for the old world. The old world has proved to be a success at this point. I think even if you're not into it, that's right, even if you're not into it, I think we can prove it's a success, because so much of it is constantly sold out all of the time, right? So that means lots of people are buying it, which means in Games Workshop eyes, it's doing well. As to whether or not it's got long-term success written all over it, it probably doesn't, in the same way that none of these games really do, apart from 40k, which seems to buck the trend. But I think the old world. I think the old world is on like an old Horus Heresy, or maybe even an MESBG style life cycle. I don't think it's a 3-year thing. I think it's like a 5-year cycle. Is my thing with it, because there's still I think there's still some caution around whether or not it's doing well, and it is. I think it is doing well, because it's always sold out, right? So it's around to stay. So there's lots of cool stuff, and I think, as Not Primarch has asked that question there, Plastic Kislev on the horizon. So we know where the story is set. in the old world. They've taken it back to a time of just before Asava Kul and Magnus the Pious is about to, you know, the siege of Prague and all that is in the future, but it's not imminent, but it's close. It's not far away. That's where we're at. So like Teclis hasn't yet gone to the Empire, and they haven't yet set up colleges of magic and stuff like that. So that stuff is all still to come in the future. So you can't do Siege of Prague without Prague. You can't do it without Kislev. So until we know Kislev is coming, we know that we're not advancing. And we're not advancing if we haven't got the story yet. See what I mean? So that's where we're at with Old World. And I think that in Old World's future, Kislev is just something that has to happen. They talked about Kislev as being the launch faction, and then it went away for various geopolitical reasons. Probably quite rightly so. But Kislev will be an entirely plastic faction. But it has to come at some point, because you can't advance it without them, because they're very, very important to this part of the story. But I think this edition will end, whenever it chooses to end, when we see a Magnus the Pious model and a Kislev range. And whether that happens this year, next year, or the year after. How old is Old World now? When did Tomb Kings and Bretonnians drop? To the YouTube channel. It was in the beginning of, I want to say 2024. Yes, it was 2024. So it is now into its 2024 to 2025, 2025 to 2026. It's now into its third year. So we could see some really big Old World stuff happening in January next year, maybe. But it's not going to be one of those ones that leads a summer. Right? So that's the timeline we're on. If it is on a 3-year cycle, then you could see a new edition of the Old World drop in sort of November, December / January, like it did last time. But it's not going to lead a summer. I doubt it's going to lead a summer. But it could lead 2028's summer, which would kind of make sense, because it would mean that they would let this edition of Horus Heresy rest and do Old World then. So between then and now and then, there's a lot of stuff that could come out. The interesting thing, I think, with the Old World is I don't know how well received it will be to start dropping like redesigned things of stuff that they've re-released. You see what I mean? So like, if a new set of, let's say, Empire handgunners comes out, I don't know whether or not that's something that they should do. So because I'm not as like au fait with Old World stuff, I don't know what's missing, really. I don't know what's missing from the Rangers, but they keep finding stuff, like the Marauders, for example. It's a really cool box set, and I hadn't realised that, Marauders hadn't really happened yet, although I guess they had. Did old Chaos Marauders go back on, and Marauder Horsemen go back on sale when Forces of Chaos came back on sale? I'm not entirely sure. 50 subs, so close, I know. 49 now. It was 55 at the beginning of the stream. We're getting a new Imperial Guard kill team imminently. Either Vostroyan Firstborn or Katachan Devils, most likely. That would be sick. They did. Okay. How did the community feel about that? The old Marauders going on sale and then presumably going off sale when the new ones came out not very long after. Or was it a year after? I guess it doesn't really matter, does it, in the old world? Not really. As long as it's all on the right size base, it doesn't really matter. It just adds a little bit of variation. Although the new models are just spectacular and they're much better than the old ones. It's like the thing with Tomb Kings, right? Is it was like Tomb Kings would have been so much more fun to do if they hadn't been ancient old plastic models, because the old Tomb Kings models, they look fantastic, but building them is a pain in the arse. Because it's all those tiny little plastic joints, like the floating head and the things in the arm. It's awful models to build. Tiberos, the Red Wake revamp. Could see it happen. Could see it happening. Good evening, Martin Spoon. The new ones are big enough to make the old warriors look stumpy. You see, I've heard this. I've heard this rumor that Chaos Warriors are getting an old world redo as well. I've heard this, that this is a possibility, and I'm like, oh, but that means that they've done it. What do you do that's different for old world Chaos Warriors that you've done for Age of Sigmar Chaos Warriors? Maybe less iconography? So I think we can be fairly confident that Tomb Kings are probably not going to get anything for a little bit, because they got something not too long ago, right? Bretonians, different story. Bretonians could get some more stuff. I don't really understand the difference between AOS and Old World. The best way to describe it is Old World is... It's not really the best way to describe it. Old World is more of a Warhammer fantasy historical war game now. And Age of Sigmar is the modern tabletop skirmish war game, basically. As a Warhammer Fantasy, it's all square based. It's all based on the old planet. It's what used to be called Warhammer's Fantasy Battles, but it's now called the Old World. At the end of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, when it died, Age of Sigmar was born out of its ashes. So Age of Sigmar is Warhammer Fantasy Battles' child. The Old World is now kind of like Age of Sigmar's stepdad. So and this is why I kind of stopped myself, because it's not quite right, but it is often compared this way. You kind of get it. Is that the Horus Heresy / Age of Darkness is what it's called, is the historical version of Warhammer 40,000. Is basically the difference. I find it tricky to understand who they need to satisfy. A lot of people want 30-year-old derpy sculpts. Knowing how Cathay did commercially would be interesting. I would guess that Cathay outsold everything from the Old World by orders of magnitude. By quite a significant way. I would guess. I would guess that it helps that all of the Cathay miniatures are beautiful. It definitely helps that the Cathay stuff it's all gorgeous miniatures, right? But it's the fact that it's all plastic, they're all beautiful, and it's all new. I would guess it's outsold everything else. Well, a lot of Old World fans still have their old collections, so we'll have added a few other things here and there, but not necessarily everything all at once. You see what I mean? But that is the question, right? Is who are these things made for? You know? Funny, I have bought most Old World factions but haven't bothered with Cathay at all. Interesting. Still has half its roster to go as well. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could say it. So yeah, I think Old World's a bit of a tricky one to predict. Because everything's out now. Well, not everything's out now, but like all of the factions are out now. So back when they were drip feeding them, it was like, oh, well, I wonder what could be next. It'll be the Wood Elves. You know what I mean? It was pretty easy then, but now it's like, oh. So I think you have to have that kind of, not 30-year experience, but that experience across Fantasy Battles and this to know what's missing and what could then come out. If you see what I mean? I still hope and pray vampire counts come to the old world. It's possible. The reason I feel like this, the reason they're not around is because they're not around yet. They chose this era very specifically so that it's not. I feel like they chose this era very specifically because it gives them capacity to do stuff like Cathay and Kislev. Which are cool things to put in. They're also really relevant at this period of history, right? So it's how that they can have a release of old models to also support release of new models, right? The reason Skaven, Lizardmen, and Vampire Counts and all that aren't in it, they are archive factions, is because in the story they're not around yet. Like the Skaven, everyone knows Skaven, but they've kind of forgotten about them because at the moment, at this point in time, there's a huge, gigantic civil war going on in the underworld. So the Skaven aren't going up above ground. They're all killing each other underground at the moment. So they're busy. They're busy off doing some other things, right? The vampires are around. They just haven't revealed themselves yet. To the world, you know, there are vampires in the corners. It is slowly they're unknown. You know, they're the boogeyman in the night. This, that, and the other. The lizard men aren't around yet. They're off somewhere else. You know, doing other things. Because the maelstrom and all that kind of stuff hasn't happened yet, right? Because Asava Kul has not attacked the lands of the forces of fantasy. But at the moment, it's all still quite, it's all quite nice, jolly. But Magnus the Pious hasn't done this. The colleges of magic haven't been set up yet. All of that stuff. So that stuff's yet to come. So it'll happen, I'm sure, at some point. But they've gone back to this point, so they've got more rope to deal with, which I personally think was probably the right thing. Because it means that it's got a longer... They've got much more that they can explore. And the game can move forward. Because they now know where it ends. So if they dropped it like... If they dropped 7th edition Warhammer... I think it was 7th, right? Old Fantasy Battles fans. If they dropped 7th edition Fantasy Battles as the old world... That's 2 minutes to midnight. You know, the end times is coming. Right, it's just around the corner, which I think is what 8th was. Because 8th, I'm pretty sure 8th led into the end times. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Warhammer 40,000. What do you guys think is going to happen in the 41st millennium? Where do we think we're going with Warhammer 40k? Rules-wise, it is the best version so far. I have heard this. I've heard that it's the best. Like mechanically, it's one of the best. It's just there's a few things that are kind of like skewed at the moment. So in conversations I've had is that sky lanterns are just obscenely powerful because they kind of break the game. So there's like all this kind of stuff. It's how they just move in any direction they want rather than in the sort of maneuvering, this kind of thing. And as we know, when you have something that ignores key mechanics, it generally is something that's quite strong. But I have heard that mechanically it is the best it's ever been. More Ultramarines. Well, we know that's happening. Well, I don't think it's Ultramarines. I think we're getting more Space Marines for sure. Of course, we're getting more Space Marines. Badab. What, the Badab War? So we're going to get another Huron, but in his Astral Claws outfit. Astral Claws? Did I get that right? I'm convinced with no evidence we will get a new Land Raider. I don't think that's an outrageous claim. I don't think that's outrageous at all. I think that's entirely possible, based on the last edition. They did get nerfed, but they still need to be capped. Yeah. New Knight variant next week. Is this just like a rumor that's on the internet? Or have they said that we're going to be talking about Knights next week? You're going to make me open an article instead of just wildly speculating and gesticulating into the darkness. Defend the Cadian Gate with the Archmagos Terminus and new Skitarii Heavies. I really like these, by the way. Alongside the terrifying new Defiler, Mutilators and Iron Warriors, believe it or not, that's still not all that will be joining us for the next big expansion, so come back next week and bask in the shadow of Armoured Glory. Oh, I see. The shadow of Armoured Glory. That could be the Land Raider. It seems weird to do a Knight variant, given as they did one last year. But, alright. I mean, let's face it. AdMech. Let's talk about AdMech, actually, very quickly. Let's talk about AdMech, because in this edition, who remembers what AdMech got? Anybody remember what the Adeptus Mechanicus got in their range release? With their Codex release? Boom! Stiltman! Exactly! The Sidonian Scatros, I think is what he was called. If I've got that right, that means he's burned into my brain forever. Yep, Sidonian Scat, of course. Oh, dearie me. Right, yes, the Sidonian Scatros is what they got. And that was it. That was it. That was AdMech. That's all they got. Sidonian Scatros. But wait, there's more. Because at the end of the edition, we're going to release a new Archmagos miniature and some heavy Skitarii boys as well. Just do it then. Just do it then at the same time. This is the thing I've been like not. I have been laughing to myself constantly at home because throughout this edition, I have, and I think fair enough until now, I've been quite critical of Age of Sigmar. No, I haven't. I am an Age of Sigmar stan. That's what I am. I've been quite critical of Warhammer 40,000's release schedule over the last 3 years. Because it has just been the remaster. It's like George Lucas has been in charge of Games Workshop. And has been like, hey, let's just remaster all the old models. Let's not do anything new. And then they're like, well, we can't always do that. And it's like, alright, well, we'll throw some new stuff in. But now, they're like, oh, hey. Here's some new things you've never seen before. Boom, here's the sauce. Here's the flavour. Here's the taste. Here's the cool stuff. It's like, oh, right, cool. brilliant. We had to wait 3 years for it. So right now, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pretty pumped for 40k stuff at the minute. So generally, I'm like, yeah, this stuff's pretty cool. Like, if they would show up at some point, the Sky Reavers, you know, I like them. I really like that Karseth model. I like the new Viper jetpack, but I like the other one more. I can't remember what it's called. Somebody will know. Somebody will get there before I look it up. It is called a Starfang. I like the Starfang a lot. I think it's a lot nicer than the Viper, but I think it's cool. I think the Raiders, the Red Corsair Raiders, are brilliant Chaos Space Marines. I really do. I really like Huron Blackheart's friends, and Huron is a redesign, but he's with some friends who are all new. I think they're really cool. Wardens of Ultramar, I really like. Titus is a redesign, but fine. You know. Necrosaur Amantar. That's a really cool model. Necrosaur Amantar was really cool. I mean, obviously, like, as I will say, like, the remastering of models, they've not been bad. It's just been like, I've got that one, but I got the old one. Now I need the new one. Buh. You know? So that's the thing for me. So now at the moment they're like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, don't worry, bro. Here's where all the sauce was. We've saved it to the end. GSC just got Benefactors. There you go. It's another great example. Just one single model. You know? I've also heard through the grapevine about a new race for death as zombie pirates in AOS. But I don't know how true that was. That sounds tasty. Look, there could be a new Age of Sigmar faction on the way. If there is going to be one, I reckon it's not till January, February time. Maybe. And my money will always be, until it happens, will be on the Ulguneth. That's what I call them. Shadow Elves. Malarians lot. Is my guess. Remember Diaper Kotiaz? I do remember Diaper Kotiaz. That's again another great point. Imperial Agents just got the one guy, and then throughout the year they released a bunch of kill teams that could feasibly be Imperial Agents things. It's like, cool, you know. So yeah. That's the interesting thing, right? With 40k, is I think 40k's like, you think back to again. So you think back to when 40k launched, when 10th edition launched with Leviathan. The Tyranids got a really good showing, but it's clear that there's stuff missing from that Tyranids range. That it's very obvious. It just, like, there's just gaps that don't make sense as to why they weren't done at the same time, and it's because I think they'll be done at a later time. But they announced the Prime with Lash Whip. So we have the Prime with Lash Whip, and we have the Winged Tyranid Prime, but we've still got old Tyranid Warriors. Interesting. They've done Ripper Swarms. They've done Termagants. They've done Hormagaunts. They've done Gene Stealers, but we've still got old Gargoyles. You know? So there's clear that there's still, in 11th edition, there is, I think in 11th edition there is still going to be a significant amount of Star Wars remastered. You know, I think there's still going to be a thing that's going to be happening next year, because they clearly haven't done all of it, but they did a good go of doing quite a lot of it this year. You know, or this last edition, the last 3 years. But it's so funny to me that they seem to have saved all the sauce to the end. You know, which is bizarre, really. Especially like for me, like with the CSM thing. The CSM release was rubbish, and now it's incredible. Like with the Defiler, the Mutilators, the Iron Warriors, the Red Corsairs. Like it's great, you know. So yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a Primarch. I would hope that there isn't, because we've had one this edition already. It would be nice to save a Primarch for next edition. But it's entirely possible that there will be a Primarch to cap things off before we lead into 11th edition. 40k should stop releasing new models in April. If timelines are anything to go by, historical timelines are anything to go by, April should see the last 40k releases of this edition, and then it will be a period of Age of Sigmar and stuff for May and possibly half of June, and then you'll see the pre-orders for 11th edition start going out. Please, 11th edition 40k have a Space Marines versus Drukhari at the very least. Votan. I'm with you there. I think Space Marines versus Drukhari is what I want. Drukhari, if we're going to launch new factions, if we're going to launch redesigned factions in core boxes, then there's one that very clearly needs it, and that's the Drukhari. The Orcs don't need it, Tyranids don't need it, Necrons don't need it, CSM don't need it. You're not going to do Eldar versus Space Marines, because there's nothing to do in Eldar anymore. Other than Illic Knight Spear. Have I got that name right? Illich Knight Spear? Illic Knight Spear? He was the Ranger character, right? So yeah, World Eaters don't need it. Emperor's Children don't need it. Death Guard don't need it. Thousand Suns don't need it. Who else is a bad guy? In context, let's have a look. Warhammer 40,000. Armies of Chaos. Demons. Demons are a shout for a new core box because they are old, but like not in the current form that they are. Because I think the current form that demons are is done. I think it's over. I don't think we're going to be. I don't think we're going to be playing Chaos Demons armies with blood letters and this, that, and the other for much longer. I give it till 12th, and then they're just nixed out. Xenos. It's not going to be Leagues of Votan in a core box because A, they don't need it because everything in their range is new, and also it's too much like humans fighting humans. It looks too much like good guys versus bad good guys. That's why like Space Marines versus Chaos Space Marines works, because it's spiky guys versus non-spiky guys. It just reads that way. It's red versus blue often is what they do. But Drukhari as a range is now starting to really show its age contextually with the rest of things. So Genestealer Cults is a possibility as well. Yeah. Although I don't know what you would... I mean, there's lots of things they could do with Genestealer Cults. And I think, like, for me personally, I would love to see the most... I think with Genestealer Cults, you can do some serious, like, body horror stuff. I think you can make some gloriously disgusting models. In the same way that they did with what's her name? The Slaanesh oh god. It is called the Infernal Enrapturess, right? Now you can't do that with GSC, but what you can do is you can create some proper grim Xenos abominations fused with humanity, and just make just the most insane range. You can do whatever you like with it, because you have the first and second and third generations of them, but you can also just create these absolute abominations that they unleash on the planet when they go into full-scale war mode. You can do all of that things. It's why, like, I love Chaos Demons. As you guys know, I've painted a lot of Chaos Demons and a lot of Chaos Demons videos. Love Chaos Demons to the ends of the earth and back. But it is not a particularly exciting range. And what I mean by that is it's not insane enough. They're demons. They are meant to be manifestations of emotion, right? But these are models that are very much sort of clinging to their sort of early design methodologies, right? A bloodletter is as a bloodletter does. There's lots of the things, like, if you look at pink horrors are cool. They're probably the most amorphous type thing. But like plague bearers, demonettes, bloodletters, they are bipedal weirdos. So what you can do is you can move straight into this kind of more sort of just like horrifying thing. Like you can put like some serious like crazy stuff into those ranges. And Genestealer cults, Tyranids as well, but they didn't do it with Tyranids. But Tyranids, Genestealer cults, and demons, you can do some really crazy things with that. And I would really like to see that from Games Workshop. Like, as much as I think the Norn Emissary and Norn Assimilator model is great, at the end of the day, it is still basically a knight. It's just a two-legged monster, which is like lame. 94 models painted in 2026 is insane. Way to go, man. I'm jealous. Don't be jealous, Just Rex. It's my job. I have to do it. It's my 31st birthday today. If I was to send you a box of the Hernkin Jaegers, would you do a painting tutorial on them? You wouldn't need to do that, my friend, because I have Hernkin Jaegers. What I don't have is time to paint them. But happy birthday to you, and you shouldn't be sending other people presents on your birthday. You should get everybody in the chat to say happy birthday to you, Landers. Happy birthday. There was a rumor a while back we could get 40k specific demons that look more like the ones from Doom. Yeah, see, now you're speaking my language. You're speaking my language for sure. There, look, we have Vashtor. Vashtor is something that you can just expand out from. You know, he's more machine than man. He's more demonic machine than man. But like you could imagine that, like you build that out. This is what I've long called for and would love to. And as much as I said earlier that Drakari versus Space Marines in the core box would be ideal, my dream is Space Marines versus the Lost and the Damned, which is just, I've said this many times on stream, and I'm going to say it again for all the people who are new here, of which we've definitely had at least 7 new people come in today. The thing that I want more than anything else in the world is not Agents of Chaos, but I want a Mortals and Denizens of the Warp book that lets you run something that is Chaos, but is not Space Marines. So it would have demons in it. It would have its own style of demons, you know, like with Vashtor and this, that, and the other. And there's no reason why he can't be in both books, CSM and them as well. But it's not to take away, it's just to enhance. But you have your Traitor Guardsman in there. You put your Dark Mechanicum in there. You put your you put all your types of things in there, and you create this just incredible dark mirror to something like the Astra Militarum, or you know what I mean. That's what I want more than anything else in the world. That would make me so happy. That would make me so happy. I would be a very, very happy Warhipster then. If that ever happens, I will stave off retirement for another year. We need more freaks and traitor guardsmen. I'd like to see more weird models like the alligator-looking alien from Huron's retinue. You know what, Just Rex? You and I have got lots of things in common. That's the kind of thing I want to see in Warhammer 40,000. I want to see Warhammer 40,000 expand its horizons beyond dude with bolt gun. You know? I want to see Warhammer 40,000 just get weird with it. Think about Age of Sigmar, just for a minute. Think about Age of Sigmar. Think about the types of models that come out in Age of Sigmar. How many of them are you able to just accurately go, oh yeah, no, that's exactly what I thought that would look like. In fact, I predicted that months ago. It's much harder to do in Age of Sigmar. It's very difficult to predict those things in Age of Sigmar. Which is why everyone says the range is so fantastic. I mean, firstly, the models are fantastic. Everything in Age of Sigmar is fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful ranges of miniatures, left, right, and centre. Look at everything from the Maggotkin that just came out. Look at, like, you know... I mean, I love Stormcast Eternals, but like the Cities of Sigmar stuff, beautiful models all over the shop. And then you look at something like within Cities of Sigmar, you go, well, like Steel Helms and like Fusiliers and like the Cannon, you know, it's a cool design choice they've made, but they're fairly predictable. Then you go, I see you on that front, but I raise you one Pontifex Zenestra, and it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Jason, what are you doing, sir? Jason, you're being far too generous. You need to stop. Thank you very much for the 10 gifted Warhipster memberships. You're insane, sir. You smashed our goal for a second. You've done that by yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Reese. New Glade Guardian. No one saw that coming. There you go. There you go. And this is the thing, right? So like I think with Age of Sigmar, if 40k would just to be more Sigmar, it would just like I love fantasy miniatures. I love Age of Sigmar. I love the game. I love the history. I love the story. I love the lore. I love the background. I love painting Age of Sigmar miniatures. I love Age of Sigmar miniatures more so than I love anything else. But when 40k is going good, it just hits that spot, you know. When 40k is in like a super fast, innovative time where it's releasing new bangers left, right, and centre that you weren't expecting, or you didn't know what that was, or you know, it's so exciting and it's so good, and like it's got such a big, vibrant community that you can talk about it a lot easier, like. With I said this on stream on Monday with Mr. ADR Wargaming himself. It took me 4 years to get Adam to look at Age of Sigmar. And now he won't shut up about it. But I stuck to my guns, you know. Here's the dilemma. Build up the existing armies, and they end up losing their individuality gameplay-wise by filling all the holes. Release new armies, and you spread the players and money too thin. Yeah, that is. You are spot on there, Yamail Langmar. You are spot on there. That is exactly correct. It is a fine-toothed balancing act. It is for sure. It is a difficult one. Like, how do you thread that needle? That's not for me to decide. That's for Games Workshop to decide. You know? It's insane how active 40k is compared to, say, 10 years ago. I have the feeling that the amount of players exploded since 2020. Oh, it absolutely did, Valaquenta. It was... what 40k really needed was 8th edition. It needed 8th edition like a shot in the arm. 40k was not in a bad place in 7th. It wasn't. Like towards the end of it, it was pretty good. It's the version of the rules that I still have locked in here in the back of my brain, you know. I still see, you know, I still think of things like the way tank shock used to be. I still think of armor values. I still think of line of sight cone, firing arcs. I still think of vehicle immobilized, all this kind of thing. I still think of the penetration chart, the glancing hits, all of that stuff. AP in my brain as well is still AP1 is the best you can get because it goes through armor. Not anymore. So all of that is still like locked in my brain, and that was 7th edition, right? 7th edition was, I think, is as good as it was ever going to get. But you're not going to grow that game. Not really. Like, it's not gonna grow its player base. It was not friendly to new players either. In the same way that, like, towards the end of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, it was not friendly to new players at all. You know? So 8th edition was needed, for sure, to simplify it and to change the vibe just ever so slightly. And as a consequence of that, it has just exploded massively. You, of course, did have the pandemic, which meant a lot of people then went back to hobbies like that. And they're seeing all of these exciting... It was kind of like, you know, like lightning trapped in a bottle. So, you know, it was a moment in time that if they'd still been in like the way they used to do things with 7th, occasionally putting out the occasional thing with this kind of quite... what am I trying to think? So, you know, I want to say preventative, but like almost gatekeepery type game. It would have had that surge in the pandemic, like things like model trains did, but then it would have gone away. But they come back and discovered how much easier, and then the internet, of course, allowed us to bring, you know, people closer together, and this, that, and the other, and people like me created a career out of this. As you can see, we are now 47 subscribers away from 100,000 subscribers, and that and the other. So, you know, it's been fascinating. Old World still isn't newbie friendly. No, and I don't know if it ever should be, in the same way that I don't think the Horus Heresy ever should be newbie friendly either. They should be where you get to after, because that's where you want to go. That's like the end of the... Alright, that's like... You know, you should look at, like... With Horus Heresy, you should look at the universe of Warhammer 40,000 and be like, wow! Look at all the colours. And then, after a few more years, you go, do you know what? I just fancy some Space Marines on Space Marines. That's what I want to do. And that's where you end up at Horus Heresy eventually. The Old World is the same. It should be Age of Sigmar should be like, wow, look at all the colours. And then I want to have a go at those colours over there. They seem a little bit more square, you know. I started in Horus Heresy, lol. Fair play to you, sir. Very fair play to you. Now I'm doing the reverse with MESBG. Are you getting me into MESBG, or is my 16-year-old self finally being allowed to breathe for the first time? Don't make me go and dig out the top of the large plastic tubs of all the old MESBG stuff I have. But yeah, I think what Yamail Angmar said is a really interesting thing, and this is one of the things I've kind of thought about, like with plugging the gaps in certain armies. I do agree. I do think that shouldn't be something that happens. As much as it's exciting for Ossiarch Bone Reapers to finally have some shooting on the way, I don't think they ever should have had some. I think there should be a clear and present weakness to factions, and it's the skill of the player that gets you around that weakness. Now, of course, that doesn't really work in 40k if it's like, oh yeah, no, you're just like with you know, you have to have outrageously good shooting to counteract for the fact that you don't have any combat whatsoever. Hence why Tau have been the scourge for as long as they have been. Best part is your old stuff entirely reusable. Yeah, I think whenever we get the move, I might just buy a lot of methylated spirits. I'll just leave that sentence there. No, just dunk it into the tubs and tubs and tubs of MESBG stuff I have from a bygone age, and strip it all, which would be good. I was thinking about getting into Lord of the Rings realm, but there's not many people that play it in my friend group. The good thing, I think, for Lord of the Rings, right, and I will stand for it now. You don't need to buy into it as much as the other game systems, right? Because you play at these much smaller points values. So, like, if you play the game at sort of like 400 to 1,000 points. 1,000 points is fairly rare, though. That's more of a like if you go for events and stuff. But like most, if you go find a club that does it, or most people will sort of play between 400 and 800. I think is the typical range. So actually, if you want to get into Lord of the Rings, you don't. It's not like if you're an AOS guy and you want to get into 40k and everyone's playing at 2,000 points over in 40k. That's a significant investment in time. For MESBG, you can literally buy the Fellowship of the Ring and you are now covered to play the game. You know? Like that's all you need to do. Even like the 3 hunters. So like the thing I'm working on at the moment. Let me tell you. So MESBG list builder. Return of the King. So the Return of the King army list is Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas. King of the Dead, and then some Warriors of the Dead. Right? So for the price of the 3 hunters, the King of the Dead and his heralds, and a box of Warriors of the Dead, you're done. At that point, that's it. You can now play MESBG for the rest of your life, and you'll have more than enough points to do it. More than enough. Because if you're playing at 700 points, or 600, or 500, and Aragorn is 160 without his Elven Cloak, 165 with. And it's not like in 40k, for example, where like an Imperial Knight is a big thing. But there's a lot of places that can just like whack it off the table turn 1, right? Aragorn is a very impactful miniature on the tabletop. It's not like he's bad at all. He's very, 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 very good. So that's it. I think MESBG is one of those things where if you want to do it, you can do it for an incredibly low investment, and ultimately you then just having fun doing the thing, right? Not like I said, if you're a 40k guy and you're seeing your AOS friends play at 2,000 points, you've got a lot of models to buy and build and paint. Same for the reverse. And similarly into Old World, into other things, or Horus Heresy into the others. You also, as Adam has said there, it requires a smaller space to play. You don't need masses and masses of terrain. This, that, and the other. And then, like, also, if you're a big fan of the films, there's probably a playable scenario of a section of the film. And then there's probably a box of miniatures to go along with it as well. Which is just, it's so good in that regard. Yeah. Let's do MESBG predictions, shall we? This is where everybody leaves. MESBG predictions. What do we think will be on the way for MESBG? I have some thoughts, because this year is an anniversary. Did you know that? Now, Games Workshop doesn't often deal with anniversaries very well. They get to like their 50th anniversary and they're like, hey, to celebrate the 50th anniversary, we've released this book. And you go, oh, cool, I guess. Like, that's a nice book. And they go, yeah, yeah. And then 6 months later, they go, oh, and by the way, here's this thing as well. Which, like with Age of Sigmar, right? Age of Sigmar's a perfect example. Age of Sigmar turned 10 this year. And on its anniversary, it was like, hey, it's 10. Clearly, the Hellsmiths of Hashut is the 10-year thing. It just is. Chaos Dwarves. It's the 10-year anniversary of Age of Sigmar, and then shortly after it turned 10, like 2-3 months later, they went, "Here's Chaos Dwarves." So that's the thing. So this year is the 25th anniversary. I think it's already been because it's January, right? But this year is the 25th anniversary of the Fellowship of the Ring. I know 11th 40k will be Ultramarines in the box, but I can dream it's Dark Angel bits. Well, it won't be any. They'll be if they're painted blue. They're not Ultramarines. They're just Space Marines. They haven't done a faction. They haven't done a chapter specific Space Marines since the Dark Vengeance box in 7.5 ish. 25 years would be the perfect time for new Moria and Last Alliance boxes. Oh, I could not agree more. And this is the thing, right? I've got a Moria army to do. Now, I reckon if I were a gambling man, here's going to be a hot take, right? We've done the Last Alliance here on the channel. If I do the Moria army in March, April, I reckon at the end of this year, they'll be like, did you know that it turned 25 years old this year? So for that reason, we've redone these things. Ha ha! Josh. Because that happens, you know? That happens around here. Think of the amount of times. Dante, he got a new model. Lysander, he got a new model. Farsight, he got a new model. Striking Scorpions, Howling Banshees. No, we haven't done Howling Banshees. They're the only ones I haven't done. All the other ones, they all got new models. I could see it happening. It happens to the Josh channel all the time. That's what we're going to change the name to, the Josh channel. In 47 subscribers' time. No, we're not going to be doing that. What's your opinion on the War of Rohirrim box to get into the game? I like it. I think you've got a good serious core of miniatures in that box. For me, the headline with that box, of course, was Warriors of Rohan. It was bizarre that they haven't done Riders of Rohan, which is something that they do need to do. But I think it's a good box. I do think it's a good box. And you get a decent amount of plastic, and you get a bit of terrain as well. Which is, it's everything you need to play the game. Because you get 2 Rohan houses, if I remember that correctly. 2 Rohan houses, 24 wild men of Dunland, Wolf, General Targ, Prince Hammer, Prince Haleth, 24 Warriors of Rohan. If I remembered that right. Also, everything in it is new plastic as well. So it all goes together quite nicely. It's not as efficient as the old stuff because, like, when you build like the old like Army of the Dead, for example, you just clip him off the sprue and then stick him to his base, and then he's built, which is great for me if you don't like building miniatures. But yeah, the War of the Rohirrim box is pretty good. For getting started. It does have the core rules in it, so it teaches you how to play the game. So that's That's always a good thing. So yeah, it is with core boxes. It's generally a pretty good place to start. And yeah, you still also have, in that regard, you do still also have completely playable armies. Yeah, I can't remember how many points they are. It's like, is it 300, Adam? You'll know. Who decided the new warriors needed separate face pieces? That would be Specialist Games, my friend. Which ones? War of the Rohirrim. It's like 300 points a side, isn't it, in there? Something like that. It's like 8 points a model for a Warrior of Rohan. And there's 24 of them, so that's 80, 160, 200. 2 characters is probably about 110 to 310-ish. Something like that. I don't know why I'm freeballing it. I'm just gonna... Let's just go in here. A Warrior of Rohan. Well, Prince Haleth on his horse is 130. Prince Hammer on his horse is 90. So 90. That's 210. And add Warrior Rohan. They're 6 points a model, 7 points because you have to equip them with something. Yeah. And like if you're this is what we kind of been exploring a little bit with the series is of Ardacon videos that we're kind of going through, is that so much of these things kind of act as like core options, right? So you need warriors. If you're a fan of Rohan, you need Warriors of Rohan. You don't necessarily need Warriors of Rohan because you're going to play with Warriors of Rohan, but you need them if you're going to play with Riders of Rohan, because people can kill your horses and then the riders get thrown and you have to walk around normally, right? So Warriors of Rohan are for Rohan as a faction. You need a set. You need a set. But for Rohan, you've got so many options with Rohan that you can do, and it's one of the reasons why they're one of my favorites. But in terms of army options for Rohan, you have got let's see here: Defenders of Helm's Deep, Defenders of the Hornburg, Defenders of the Pelennor. You've got Fords of Eisen, and you've got Kingdom of Rohan, and you've got maybe Realms of Men, well, I don't think so. You've got Ride Out, Riders of Aemir, Riders of Theoden, Road to Helm's Deep, and The Grief of Aemir as well. That's another one. So yeah, you got 10 different ways to play them, depending on your favourite characters. They're a slight risk though, Rohan, because the Riders of Rohan could get redone, as could the Knights of Rohan, the Rohan Royal Guard. They could get redone. They should get redone. They hopefully will get redone. Hopefully this year. That is not a bold prediction. That is a fairly bland prediction. But, hello, Joe. Hello, Dan. Now the party has started. Have you played Fallout Wasteland Warfare? Is that the tabletop version? Because no. New dual kit of Riders and Royal Guard, please. Ooh. Ooh. That would be special. That would be lovely. No, I could see, given as now we've had the Path of Kirith Ungol, we've got the 3 hunters, and so on and so forth. I could see some form of the Hobbits of the Shire, or a reissue of the Fellowship, or something like that, to fill in some of the others. But I could see, like, you know, Gandalf, Sam, Frodo, Merry and Pippin coming as a thing in new plastics as well. So Gandalf the Grey. So AOS is Lord of the Rings and Old World is the Silmarillion. That's not a bad way to describe it, actually. It's not far off, yeah. Yeah. You won't get Merry and Pippin. No, that's fair. And you also get Peregrine took guard of the Citadel and Meriadoc Brandybuck, Squire of Rohan as well. So they've already got really good plastic models. But like plastic Gandalf the Grey in Not the Fellowship. That's another thing that could be on the way. I could see it happening. I mean, it'd be awesome if they did a... Oh, and Boromir. You would need a new Boromir as well. A new Boromir. They've basically stealth released a new Fellowship through other kits. Yeah, almost. They've almost done it. I mean, we did get a new Frodo. Got a new plastic Frodo the other day. He's just covered in webs. I'd like a new Warcry release. Oh, Captain Manrings, please. Please. Warcry returning would be something that would be incredible. I just don't know what they're doing with it. It seems bizarre. It's like Spearhead has replaced it. Which is interesting. Because here's a hot take. If Games Workshop in 11th edition Warhammer 40,000 makes Combat Patrol as compelling, interesting, and good to play, balanced and wonderful, and let's just say it, sexy. If they make Combat Patrol as sexy as Spearhead, what's the point in Kill Team? Because Warcry's disappeared, and if Warcry was the Kill Team of Age of Sigmar, you don't need Kill Team anymore. My issue with getting into the Lord of the Rings realm, I'm a completionist, and I would waste all my money getting everything being a huge Lord of the Rings nerd. Well, nothing compared to my buddy who named his kid after King Theoden. Theoden's such a good name for such a good name. Theoden's my favourite character, as well established. Hence why I have his blade. We're 4 years this autumn since Heart of Gur. Ugh. Our most optimistic take on Warcry is that the development lead times are so long that they diverted resources from Warcry before releasing it, realising it actually had a popular following, and it's slow to turn that around and come back. Will be 4 years this autumn since Heart of Gur. Yeah, it is a shame. But look, if Warcry isn't going to exist, but Spearhead does, and if Combat Patrol is as good as Spearhead, is there a reason to still have Kill Team? That is all I'm going to put out there. That's all I'm going to put out into this. That's the only vibe I'm going to put out into the universe. Because Necromunda is there, and Necromunda's its own thing. And I've never, ever said that Necromunda shouldn't exist. Necromunda's great, but Necromunda is its own thing. It's its own universe. It is its own world. Kill Team is not its own world. Kill Team is they release Kill Team because they're putting out new model kits that 40k players buy to put into their 40k armies. They don't play Kill Team with it. This is what Joe says all the time. He says they use it to sell the new Raptors. They use it to sell the Ratlings. They use it to sell Space Marine Scouts. They use it to sell all this kind of thing. So, and that's what was happening with Warcry Warbands as well. It started to happen a little less, but like with Warcry Warbands, very similar sort of stuff was going on. Yggdrasil Riverblades, as an example. Quest of Soulsworn. The Twist Wield. All of that stuff. Like, so Necromunda is fine. Necromunda is brilliant. It's thriving, is what I've been told. So could we just get rid of Kill Team? If they're going to get rid of Warcry, and just make Combat Patrol really good. Britain needs to bring Aeronautica back. They also need to bring back Battlefleet Gothic. And Dreadfleet or Man of War, whichever one it is that they bring out. I think like this is the thing though. I think with what Warhammer is doing, I think like it's like my thing with like Marvel films and Marvel television, right? Like they can put out a new, let's say, Captain America film or a new Iron Man film or whatever, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I've seen this a lot of times before, and I'll have fun watching it. I won't go away from it thinking it was the greatest thing I've ever seen, but I'll have had fun watching it, and it's fine. And I think like that with like a lot of Warhammer models, especially in 40k, but like with Warhammer models, it's a bit like, yeah, okay, this is cool. They're really good. They're really nice. What I would really like to see Games Workshop do, because they are so good at designing incredible, crazy miniatures and just super characterful, wacky things as well. They're so good at doing that. I would just like to see them do more of it. You know, just get weird with it. Just do some really like narrow, but like self-contained experiences that are just weird and wonderful, and that's okay. And they'll sell a lot of it, I think. You know, I think there's a lot of really cool stuff that they could do. Like, and that's it. It's just like, because like Dark Water's fantastic as a self-contained experience. Like doing lots of Warhammer Quest stuff is fine. Space Hulk would be awesome if they just went really weird with it, and so on and so forth. Like I think like that's what I really want to see from Games Workshop miniatures. Like, you know, just get weird with it, man. New Space Marine Tactical Squad is what people need. You have finally verified your age. Excellent. Excellent. Well done. You've convinced them that you are in fact old enough. We need a noise every time Josh has a hot take. I don't have my soundboard set up on this computer. I should set one up, really. Here comes Josh's hot take. Let's see if I can. Like, here comes the hot take. Probably need to jack the sound up on that, but Solo rules are an untapped market still for Games Workshop. So many people don't have mates that want to play. So kill team. Fair. Currently doing your Alchemite Warforger guide and begging GW for more cities models. Fair. It's a fair way to be. Good evening, Mini Painting Dad. There we go. Well, tonight has been fun. Tonight we've had a lot of hot takes. Look, I think this year could be potentially really exciting. This year could be potentially rubbish. It so far has been pretty good. There's been a lot of cool stuff so far, and we're only in February. We're not even close to being done with February. And the next few months should be really interesting. We talked a little bit earlier about all the stuff that's on the way. So yeah, there's potential for a lot of really cool things. I've said what I want to see. I want to see Games Workshop get weird with it, and I want to buy that stuff. But as to whether or not they will is another question entirely. So yeah, I want a little bit more I want a bit more WandaVision / the Loki TV show, and a little less. I'm trying to think of a boring one. A little less Book of Boba Fett. Strange way of putting it, but yeah. Pineapple on pizza / cookies and cheese level weird. Yeah, just get freaky with it. Just get strange. Just be like, here is the all new Adeptus Amorphous Blob. You know? Let's do that. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. It's going to be fun. But yeah, on that note, we are probably going to wrap things up there. As you can see, we are a mere 47 subscribers away from the hallowed lands of 100k. 47 away. So tell your friends. Come and subscribe to the channel, because it's cool vibes and it's cool videos and it's lots and lots and lots of content, and you'll make me very happy. So tomorrow question is whether or not we hit 100k tomorrow, because that changes what video goes out. Either way, we have the Reeve Captain and the Red Corsair Raiders. Those are two videos that are on the way. They might be tomorrow and Friday. You shall see. But yeah, it's on the way. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. 46 to go. 99,954 bottles of contrast on the wall. 99,954. You take one down, you spill it on your table, you've ruined your trousers again. That's the song. I don't know. That one got away from me. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I enjoyed sitting and talking. Don't get to do that very often. I'm often extremely rushed off my feet. But I was a bit tired today and I feel energized now. So I'm going to go and do some stuff. So I will see you all very soon in the next one. We will be live again on Monday doing something in my me time, no doubt. Possibly some more MESBG, possibly something else. We shall have to wait and see. I mean, I'll find out at the same time as all of you do when I make my decision. I don't make the decisions that far ahead of time. I make them on the day, in the moment, because that's what we do. Planning? Who's heard of that? Insane. Anyway, see you later, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. And thank you very much for all of the gifted memberships and all of the months of membership. Jason, Yamail Angmar, Hungry Bert. Thank you. You keep the lights on. You keep the lights on and you help me get to the next 100k, which would be 200,000. We'll have to see, though. To see if that's even possible. Are there 200,000 people out there who want to see Contrast Plus? Maybe. Or do we find the other 100,000 by, just like spitting hot takes left, right, and centre about Warhammer? I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. Anyway, see you later, guys. Thank you for hanging out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Love you.